Hi guys, I'm Justin Z. I am an independent filmmaker living in Los Angeles. I am also a freelance editor. I have been getting some basic questions about filmmaking, including this one. What are the disadvantages of a fixed speed camera? Well, basically, first you have to understand what fixed speed means. That basically means that the shutter speed on the camera is fixed to a certain speed. And a shutter speed on professional cameras can be changed from, let's say, the shutter opens for 1 full second, which you would normally never do, to 1/1000th of a second. Well, on consumer cameras like point and shoot cameras, the shutter speed is fixed. Normally, with shutter speed, it determines how much light comes into the camera. Now, with point and shoot, that is determined in other ways. It is determined by the ISO, or the light sensitivity. For a film camera, it can mean the difference between a really sharp image or a really grainy image. For a digital camera, it's the same thing except it's simulated. It can also be determined by your focal length. When your focal length is longer, less light comes into the camera. But when it comes to the shutter speed, point and shoot cameras are fixed, and therefore you don't have as much creative control. Now let me give you an example. If you are taking a picture of a person, say, moving around or running, and you take a picture of them with a fixed shutter speed and they're moving too fast, then the image is going to look blurry. The other thing about fixed speed cameras is that you cannot determine how blurry your foreground or background is, or basically determine your focal length. So that can be changed when you zoom in, and most point and shoot cameras can zoom in or out. But for the most part, you're not going to be able to do that. So if you take a medium shot of me, for example, and you want the background blurred out, you're going to have a harder time. Now, normally this isn't a big deal for point and shoot cameras, but sometimes if you don't have a blurry background, then it can distract from the person. So if you have a lot of people in the background and you're taking a picture of yourself for a friend, then it's going to be less noticeable, your friend. So the only real ways to combat this is to change the ISO on your camera or zoom in, and that way you have a higher shutter speed simply because it is taking less light in. And that can sometimes create a sense of blurriness in the background or a shallower depth of field. Well, that's pretty much all there is to it with this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.